So I was speaking to a friend of mine last night who's in the most terrible state because her son is just going through absolute hell through his initiation experience in grade 8. And it's just been the most awful story of what this boy has been put through. And, you know, I really have to sit here and look at why we are perpetuating this extremely unnecessary institution of initiation in schools that creates nothing other than trauma and anxiety and low self-esteem and a lack of self-confidence in our children. And, you know, I've read so many posts this kind of last few weeks since school started about initiation. And interesting to see the two sides. You know, there's a very clear line. So the one side is it's not okay and it needs to stop. And the other side is, oh, come on, it's just a bit of fun and our kids need a bit of toughening up. So to the people on that side of the line, I'd like to say to you that I really wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for the huge amount of anxiety and low self-esteem and low confidence levels that adults have. And I'm telling you that a huge amount of it is born out of these kinds of experiences in childhood. And I don't know why we think that our children have to toughen up in a world that is already brutal. Why our children have to feel like they've got to earn some position in high school, which they earned by simply passing grade 7. That is what they worked their arse off, is to get those marks to go to a really great high school. And they have a right to be there without abuse, without bullying, without being made to feel like the bottom of the food chain. Starting high school is traumatic enough. Being 13 is traumatic enough. Going through puberty is traumatic enough without being put through these incredibly awful initiation experiences, which are just designed to humiliate and belittle and degrade these little kids who are just, you know, they don't know where they're coming, they don't know where they're going, they don't know what to do, they're in a state of terror every day. And it has to stop. I don't know why we are still doing this in schools. I don't understand it. I don't understand the point. Schools are supposed to be a place where kids feel nurtured and taken care of, and they're there to be educated. They are not there to be abused. And, you know, it's like matrics can't wait to kind of deal it out because they had to do it. And schools have to put a stop to this. There is a big difference between initiation and orientation. Now, my daughter's school has had the most incredible orientation week of her arriving in grade 8. The matrics in that school are beyond amazing, and they take their role as mentors and guides and nurturers of the grade 8s. They have supported them in this first week to learn about the school, to learn about the teachers. They've played a whole lot of fun games. They've done a lot of team building and connecting processes with these grade 8s every day to make them feel welcomed, to help them get to know everybody in their class, to make them know that the school is a safe place for them. And what I love about the matrics at my daughter's school through this orientation process is they've really made sure that these grade 8s know that if they are not okay and if anything is worrying them and they have any questions, they must just come and find any prefect and they will be helped. So my daughter is just thriving. She is absolutely loving her school. She cannot wait to get up in the morning. She is so excited with all her friends she's met. She is filled with confidence walking through a school. There isn't an iota of fear in her body. And I hate to say it, but being in touch with most of my friends whose, you know, kids we all went through primary school together with, a lot of them are not having this experience with their children. A lot of their kids have been put through these things of having to dress in ridiculous outfits and you know, get up in front of the school and behave like an idiot so everybody can laugh at them and shouted at by matrics. And, you know, the general lackey stuff. Like, we know when I was in grade 8, this is what we were forced to do. You know, had to carry the matrics bag, had to give them lunch. You know, I was in a boarding school. So in the morning, I had to go and make my matrics bed and clean her room. And then I had to quickly go and do my room, which meant that half the time we didn't get to the dining hall in time to eat eat our breakfast before we got to school. And then you got to school and you had another matric. And I didn't know my school, I didn't know where the classes were, but I had to carry my matrics back to her class and then run around like a panicked maniac trying to find my class, and then always get into shit because I was late. And the anxiety, I remember that. I really vividly remember it, and anybody who's been through this knows. I can ask a 60-year-old how they felt about entering high school, and they all have memories. So this isn't something that passes once you leave school. Every adult I know has terrible memories about their initiation experiences at school. And we kind of are trained to think that it's okay, and that we normalize abusing 13-year-old children. So we wonder why our teenage suicide rates are as high as they are at the moment. And I know that social media has a massive part to play in that. I know that cyberbullying is a huge issue. But a place where a child spends most of their day has to be a place where they feel safe and they feel held while they're going through the biggest transition any of us go through into adulthood. And putting a child through this kind of, toughening up experience, it's sheer abuse and it's sheer bullying. And let's just call it what it is. And if you just feel like there's no safe place for you, you're going to want to take yourself out. So please, let's kind of hold our schools accountable to taking far more responsibility around nurturing and helping and supporting children, very many of who come from abusive homes. So their home is an abusive environment, and then they come to school and they get an abusive environment there as well. And I cannot tell you how many people I've worked with who would never have made it had it not been for an amazing teacher in their lives, who came from terrible homes, but there was that one person who made them feel safe and heard and seen and held. And that is our job as adults, as matrics, as caretakers of younger children, to nurture them to know that they are bigger and so much more than the lack of confidence they already feel about themselves. So these rites of passage from a spiritual perspective are very different. Spiritual cultures do very different spiritually based rites of passage. I understand rites of passage, but this initiation grade 8 is not a rite of passage. So for all of you who are going, it's just a little bit of fun, here's a tip. Are both people laughing? Are both people smiling? Or is the one having a good time and the other one is in pain? That, my friends, is not fun. That is abuse. That is bullying. So, please have conversations with your friends. Have conversations with the teachers. Hold governing bodies and schools accountable for what we are teaching children about how to treat other human beings, and laughing it off and making it okay to be abusive to other human beings. Because this is why the world is in the state that it's in. Because we make it okay to treat those less than us in an unacceptable manner. So let's stop the initiations today.